Welcome back to Topic 39 for Algebra 1, multiplying polynomials, specifically multiplying a polynomial times a polynomial. In Part 1, we're going to learn 3 different methods that we can use to multiply a polynomial by a polynomial. And we're also going to practice classifying our final answer, something that was referenced in Topic 36. In our example here, the first method that we're going to learn is the table method, sometimes also called the box method. So in this example, we have a trinomial times a binomial. So our trinomial has 3 terms, and what I did is I lined up these terms across the top. Now we're multiplying this by a binomial. So I lined up these terms vertically. Now the blank spaces in my table, or in my box, are where the products are going to be. So for every corresponding row and column, I'm going to multiply them and write the product there. Now keep in mind what we learned in Topic 38 about using the properties of exponents. When we multiply and they have the same base, we have to add the exponents. So for our first box, we have 3x, now remember this is 3x to the first power, times x squared. This will give us 3x cubed, because x to the first times x squared gives us 3x cubed. Now 3x times 6x, this is 6x to the first power, gives us 18x squared. 3x times negative 7 gives us negative 21x. And actually, I'm going to go back to my second term and my first term and make sure I write down the signs. I did it with my last term, but that's going to especially help us in our next step when we need to combine our like terms. Moving on to the second row, negative 4 times x squared gives us negative 4x squared. Negative 4 times 6x gives us negative 24x. And negative 4 times negative 7 is positive 28. So my table is filled. Now I need to look for any like terms so I can combine them. And actually, using the table method, these like terms can be found diagonally. Notice how here's my x squared, and then here is my linear term, my x terms. So I'm going to rewrite all of my terms and write my like terms in parentheses so I know to group them together. So we have 3x cubed plus 18x squared minus 4x squared plus a negative 21x minus 24x plus 28. Now I can combine my like terms. So I'm left with 3x cubed, 18x squared minus 4x squared. These are like terms. They have the same variable raised to the same exponent. Gives me 14x squared. Negative 21x minus 24x. I'm becoming further negative, so I get negative 45x plus 28. So this is my final answer here. Now let's classify this. What is the highest degree that I see? Degree of 3. So this is a cubic polynomial. And specifically, how many terms do I count? 1, 2, 3, 4. So this is a 4-term polynomial. Moving on to the second method. Now we're going to solve the same problem again using a different method. This is called the horizontal method. So our problem is x squared plus 6x minus 7 times 3x minus 4. Now, number 1, for this method, I think it's super helpful to have different colored pens or pencils, markers, whatever you're heart desires readily available, because especially with multiplying polynomials, it can get a little messy and kind of confusing depending on what terms we're dealing with. Number 2, the horizontal method is basically like a souped up distributive property. It's like the distributive property, but on steroids. So I'm going to start with my distributive property and start with one color. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take the first term that I see, I'll start with this x squared, and distribute it to the first term of the other polynomial. When I'm doing this, I'm multiplying them together. Then I'm also going to distribute that x squared to the negative 4. So if I rewrite this, I'll have x squared times 3x plus x squared times negative 4. Now in my first polynomial, I still have 2 remaining terms, so I'm going to repeat this process. 6x times 3x plus 6x times negative 4. I'm going to continue this with my last term, negative 7 times 3x and negative 7 times negative 4. Make sure we're adding the terms. So I just put that parentheses around the negative 7 just to kind of clarify that. Now I can go through and simplify. X squared times 3x. Remember, this is 3x to the first power. X squared times 3x gives me 3x cubed. X squared times negative 4 is negative 4x squared. 6x to the first times 3x to the first gives me positive 18x squared. 6x times negative 4 gives me negative 24x. Negative 7 times 3x gives me negative 21x. And negative 7 times negative 4 is a positive 28. Whew. Okay, almost done. Now what I have to do is identify my like terms and combine them. So I see I have negative 4x squared and positive 18x squared. Again, same variable to the same degree, same power here. I also have negative 24x and negative 21x. My 3x cubed and my positive 28, they don't have any other like terms, so I'm just going to leave them be. So I'm left with 3x cubed plus negative 4x squared plus 18x squared gives me 14x squared. Negative 24x minus 21x is negative 45x, and then add my 28 in the end. And hey, that's the same answer as the previous slide. So that's the horizontal method. Moving on to the last method is the vertical method. So think back to when you were in elementary school and you were multiplying 3-digit, 4-digit numbers. That same process that you did back then, that's what we're going to use right here. So first let's start off with writing down my 2 polynomials that I'm multiplying. X squared plus 6x minus 7. Now I'm going to line up the like terms in columns. So I'm multiplying that by 3x, so I'm going to line it up under my linear column, minus 4. Now I'm going to multiply. So just like you did back in elementary school, we have negative 7 times negative 4. That gives me positive 28. 6x times negative 4. That gives me negative 24x. And lastly, x squared times negative 4 gives me negative 4x squared. Then, once we move on to our 3x term, this is in like the 10 spot. So just like you did, again, back in elementary school, when we multiply our negative 7 times 3x to get negative 21x, we're not going to line it up under our 28. Instead, we're going to put a 0 there. That's our placeholder. Instead, negative 7 times 3x gives us negative 21x, which we're going to line up right below our negative 24x. 6x times 3x gives us positive 24x squared. Ooh, no math. 18x squared, goodness. And x squared times 3x gets us positive 3x cubed. Ooh, that last bit was embarrassing. It's okay, we all make mistakes. Okay, now we can add. 28 plus 0 gives us 28. Negative 24x minus 21x, that's negative 45x. And notice, our like terms are already aligned vertically here, so it's super helpful. Negative 4x squared plus 18x squared gives us positive 14x squared. And then we're going to add 3x cubed. And that's our final answer. So we've learned about 3 different methods so far: the table method, the horizontal method, and the vertical method. Now, specifically with the horizontal method, there might be a term that you have heard in the past called foiling. Foiling is like the horizontal method, but specifically for a binomial and a binomial. FOIL stands for the first, the outside, the inside, and the last. What do I mean by that? So the first, we're going to multiply the first term of each binomial. 4x times x. That gives us 4x squared. Outside, we're going to multiply the outermost terms, 4x and negative 2. That gives us negative 8x. Inside, 3 times x, the innermost terms, gives us 3x. And the last terms, 3 times negative 2. That gives us negative 6. Now we have all of our products here. We're going to combine them. So we have 4x squared minus 8x plus 3x minus 6. Our like terms here are our linear terms, negative 8x and positive 3x, which gives us 4x squared, not plus, goodness, minus 5x minus 6. Now if we wanted to classify this polynomial here, our highest degree is 2, so this is a quadratic. And how many terms do we count? 1, 2, 3. So it's a quadratic trinomial. And that was part 1 of topic 39 for Algebra 1, multiplying polynomials, specifically a polynomial by a polynomial. Thank you for watching.